Hello and good morning. It is Friday, the 9th of July 2021. I hope you're all well. My name is Steve Pugh. I'm a management consultant, so I'm based in the northeast of England, and I run a business course called the Roadmap MBA that fortunately, from a press release which went out yesterday, which hopefully you might see in the news today, we're now in 19 different countries. What does it look like? It looks something a little bit like this, which is a 216-page real-world business course to help you make that next step in your business or career. And what we've really tried to do is make business education accessible in terms of the content and actually simplify it down and just prevent you from having to read hundreds of different books and source all these different things, but really kind of piece it together, but then share the content, and hopefully it's something that's quite nice and easy to pick up, so you can pick it up for 2 minutes or 2 hours. But then likewise, one of the big USPs is just the ability to ask questions. We do live Q&As, which are public every Friday morning at 9 a.m, which is what this is. And we do 4 classroom sessions a week. Now we do Tuesdays, 3 p.m, Tuesdays, 8 p.m. These are all UK times. 7 a.m. on Thursdays, which was interesting after the England game, and then Fridays at midday as well. And part of the reason for doing that is that within operating a business course and a business, it's in, at the moment, 19 different countries, but obviously we've got big kind of ambitions. In order to make business education accessible, you need to give people time slots so that they can work around their families or commitments or gym training schedules and that kind of thing. And that's what we do, and you can ask any questions you want. Good morning, Mohammed from Toronto. I was actually a guest on Mohammed's podcast, which I'm going to link to shortly as well. Really great guy. Definitely recommend you kind of follow some of his content. It's Join Bashir on YouTube and Twitter and other kind of stuff. And yeah, basically on Friday mornings, what I do is people send me questions through the week, and what I do will do my best to answer them in a fairly short and interactive kind of session. Please kind of hag Jonathan, get involved in the comments. Just tell me where in the world you're from. Never be afraid to kind of plug your business. I know Jonathan comments every week, and Jonathan, just for you, you'll see it's a different setup this week. We had some shockers last week, but it is what it is. You learn, you iterate, you improve, etc. But yes, it's a new kind of look and feel. I have a new brand coming out towards the end of the year. It's a bit slicker than what I've done in the past, really kind of honing in on my audience, some new content, some better content. And again, it's part of that continuous improvement that for anyone, I guess, in their business, you should really kind of concentrate and do that kind of thing. So just if you notice that this looks a little bit different to last week, that might be why. I had this fall over, we had camera problems, we had loads of different stuff, but it was all kind of fixed. And good morning, Simon, again. And no, thank you for getting involved. So what I'm going to talk about this week, I'm going to recap some of the stuff I've done within the week. I'm going to talk about the interview that I did on Monday with Victoria Fleming. If you haven't seen it, all the stuff is on YouTube, and we actually spoke for quite a long time because we can both kind of talk. But we covered everything from live streaming, why is it important for your business, how to get LinkedIn Live, sales in general, and lots of other stuff, which is a really kind of lovely person. And actually, just whilst I'm on the topic of interviews, so for Monday coming up, I'm actually interviewing a chap called Chris Johnson, who I've known Chris for probably about 10 years. He's very well known in the Northeast kind of finance community. Unfortunately, Chris was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And what we're going to do, and what Chris has asked to do, is share his story about being diagnosed and the impact on his mindset and family life and raising money. And he's trying to run the London Marathon soon. And it's a really inspirational kind of interview for Monday. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to kind of hold it together because I get quite upset quite easily. But it's a really good one that I hope you join us for. And again, the whole point, it's real world people. So I actually know Chris. And I think it's due to that, it's that, we can all do our business stuff and our career aims and try and do what we're trying to do. But actually illness and cancer can affect and does affect all of us. That actually it's almost that reset that every week I talk about how you can grow your business. But the truth is, if something bad happens, none of this matters. And hopefully if you join us at 4 p.m. UK time on Monday, I'll be interviewing kind of Chris. Yeah, and thank you for just getting involved. I always love it when people get involved. Simon, who I plugged his business last week, so he's does some really fantastic merch, all to do with mental health awareness. It's called Shy Burns. Just check it out at shyburns.com. And again, I'll happily plug the other guys' kind of stuff as well. So what I'm going to talk about today, we've got a new classroom session which starts at 12 p.m. on Friday, so midday UK time on Fridays, which from memory is kind of 5 p.m. Singapore time, but all the way through to I think 7 a.m. in New York, so it's quite a good time. And what we're trying to do is just find slots that people can join that are either in work hours or after hours or before hours or on your lunchtime. And that's the kind of the ecosystem that we're trying to build. And, you know, I'd love it if people join us. We had a great session on Thursday morning, which was just after the England game. And we talked about, actually, it was marketing strategy, but in particular, how you apply it to careers. So if you're, you know, going through your career and you're looking to raise awareness on, you know, what you do for an organization with the idea that you want to get promoted and progress your career, you can often apply the same kind of tools and techniques. And just, you know, as someone that has, you know, been through my own career, and yes, I run my own business now, but I still work with a lot of other people. But as someone that's been through that journey, hopefully I can add a lot of value that when I was fortunate enough to be made managing director of someone else's company at 33, it wasn't just luck. There was a lot of hard work and stuff that went into it. And that is the kind of stuff that we teach on the roadmap as well. So the main topic, I've picked just one today because it could be quite in depth. This came in from a chap yesterday, might have been Wednesday. And what they were looking to do was that within their business, and it's true in a lot of businesses, do a big sales push. And actually it was how to drive sales in the next 90 days. And what they asked me to do was just break down the best way to do that. And the reason why I'm often quite comfortable to kind of talk about this kind of thing is because companies pay me to actually do this. People pay me to actually do their sales for them. Hopefully it's a lot different to learn from someone that actually does it, as opposed to people that just teach the theory. And that's something that I wanted to kind of cover today. If it's of interest, great. If it's not, no problem. And then again, for people who don't follow the stream, I've probably already clicked off anyway. So how to drive sales in the first 90 days. So I'd actually love to know if anyone's watching in the comments, what is it that you would do? So you have a business, and this is as true with brand new startup businesses, but the question came in from a company that's quite well established. It's been there for about 10 years. So I'm going to take that tack on it, that it's an established business. But I'd love to know in the comments what your techniques are, what you like to do, just before I dive in, and it'll be interesting just to see if it kind of lines up. So one of the first things you want to do is actually diagnose the problem to really understand, excuse me, what it is that you're trying to do and also where the business currently sits. If you've done the marketing module within the Roadmap MBA, you'll know that there's a major, within marketing, the way that you're meant to split your time is 33% diagnosis, 33% on strategy, but how you understand the customer and how you would tackle it, and then 33% on actually doing it. Very similar in sales, that actually, unless you look at what you've done in the past, what worked, what didn't work, who your customers are, that kind of thing, you're often missing a trick, because well-intentioned, a lot of people could do a lot of activity and they're really trying to work really hard to drive sales. But unless you know what works and what doesn't, you might be wasting a lot of energy. So it's always really useful to look at that. But in terms of breaking this down, again, the first thing you want to do is pull out all of your kind of financial figures and records from the past 3 years, 5 years, depends on what you've got. And basically dig out all the people that have ever traded with you, and ideally put it into some sort of spreadsheet. And I say spreadsheet because that way you can order it and rank it and put things in different levels. So what I would do is take the whole list of companies and then next to them, rank them into customers that have actually bought your product or service, customers that have bought your product or service but have lapsed. And then you've got people that have made an inquiry but have never actually purchased, and then actually people that you want to target. So you've got A, B, C, D. So A is existing customers, but these are people that have actually bought. And that's bought at any time in the past kind of 3 years, but ideally, existing customers. Then next, existing customers but lapsed. The reason we do that is largely because they've already kind of pre-qualified themselves. So if they've bought your product or service in the past, chances are they could probably buy it again. And that's really important, because if you approach someone cold from scratch, until you've actually qualified them, you don't know if they can actually buy. So these are better quality of kind of leads. Then third, inquiry. So as in most kind of businesses, you'll get the opportunity to bid on contracts and do stuff, and you get the opportunity when things come up, but you're not going to win them all. Of course you're not. So actually next, you then want to focus on people that have kind of in their mind, they have a need for your product or service. And what we're trying to do here is rank your list of contacts and your target list. And actually for a customer, I'm currently doing this at the moment where we're starting to go through this process. And then last but not least is kind of cold approaches. So these are people that might not know who you are, but also what we're trying to do here is prioritize your leads and your actions just because you don't want to waste any energy. So if you're trying to drive sales within the next kind of 90 days, there's probably a reason that actually what you're trying to do is drive cash into the business. So the further you go down this list, the longer it's going to take to get cash into the business because you have to go through your whole sales process. When I talk about the straight line sales system where you go from cold, where someone doesn't know who you are, to when they view you as a 10 out of 10, they love everything about what you do, what the product does and what the business does. The whole point of marketing and sales is to get people along that process. And with good quality marketing and promotion and understanding the customer and stuff, my belief is that you can actually get to maybe a 7 out of 10 before people even get in touch, because a lot of buyers now self-qualify and they check you out online and stuff as well. And then the sales part of it is actually just the last kind of 30%. But all we're trying to do is look at what's the most efficient way to do this quickly. Hi Jonathan, I'm just going to check the comments. Most of my sales are bad word of mouth or recurring customers, always here. But the good thing is, so when I'll come on to that, I'm going to build that in, Jonathan. That's really good actually to do referrals, because referrals are the single best way to drive qualified business into your business, into your company, because what they're doing, it's coming from a very trusted source. And actually within the sales modules, we actually go into, we rank in order what are the most important and valuable ways to drive business. At the top is an internal referral. So if you're trying to get into Tesla and you don't know the chief marketing officer, but you do know someone in engineering, asking your friends in engineering, actually, can you refer me to Sandra in marketing? If they do it, that's the most valuable way that you can actually do an approach. Next would be an external referral. So that would be, again, you don't know Sandra, but you know Johnny that does know her, asking Johnny to introduce you. Because from that point of view, if you're Sandra, basically the credibility of the person that refers them adds a lot of weight to the approach. And then both of these are much better than just a cold approach from scratch where they don't know who you are. And within the course, I can't remember which page it is, we kind of go into all this detail. But Jonathan, you are completely correct that word of mouth and referrals are still the best way to do it. And then what I would always try and do, it depends on your business kind of model, is that you still want a way to broadcast one to many, which is kind of what this is a way to just raise general awareness on stuff. But the referral might be, someone asks Jonathan, oh, is the course any good? What do you think? What do you think of the live streams? And then that word of mouth referral saying, actually, yeah, it was really good. And then relating to this, I've got some screen grabs, but from people that do the classroom sessions. So you've got Cheryl Spears and Denise Nesbitt and a few of the guys who basically just say, actually, these are really good. I'm really enjoying it. That's both a social proof thing, but also it's a recommendation. And that's a great way to do that, which, does fall into this. And I guess it would fall into your existing customers, at least into your referrals, high up. But no, thank you for commenting. It's really cool. So what we're to kind of do here, I'm just going to switch pens again, is that essentially with the top three, what you've essentially got is that you've got pre-qualified buyers. So these are people that actually know about your service, they bought it in the past, they're kind of sold on the idea. And then the challenge is, as opposed to cold people, that you're probably going to have to try and get them from 0 to 10 as part of the whole kind of sales process. As where these guys probably already start at a 5 or a 6 or a 7, just in terms of the amount of effort it is to actually kind of win them on board. But that's why it's important to do. And that's also why it's important to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and do it in that order, because it's how we get the most amount of bang for your buck and reward for your effort quickly. because I actually think you'll get a much greater return off the first two than you will off the cold ones. So you might have to approach 100 people to get 5 buyers cold, as actually if you approach 100 existing customers and we try and upsell them, you'll probably get maybe 20%, so you're getting 4 times the kind of return of effort compared to if you do it otherwise. And then the next question would be, what do you say to these people? Because this is the classic thing that actually people get wrong. And it's one of the most difficult things to do, because actually when you're looking to do a sales approach, people always put way too much effort, not effort into it, but they script and write these huge emails that go into every product feature and benefit. And the truth is, when you actually think down to real people, nobody's kind of going to read it. So one of the things that I always recommend to a lot of people is keep things super short. So ideally, and it's something we teach on the Roadmap MBA, if you've done your job properly, and we talk about raising your personal brand and awareness and stuff, and basically having more people know in advance before you ever get in touch who you are, what you're about, what your mannerisms are like, your approach and knowledge, and being seen as like an authority and expert. But basically that people should hopefully know who you are before you ever kind of get in touch. And we cover this in the course. So then actually when you do get in touch, you should have already done the piece to build your credibility and everything else. So then you can actually get away with a very short, nice, friendly approach, which often works really well. So one of the things I like to do, so this would be step number 2, is ask, how do we do business together? How do we do it? So the simple question of actually saying to someone, look, I really love your company. I love what you do. I love how it works. We've got this great company, and obviously, I think you hopefully buy into what the product is and what the service is. How can we work together? How can we make it work? And then what you've done is almost shift the concept in the buyer's mind away from, do I want to buy it, to actually, I do want to buy it. How do I buy it? And then it's another thing that's often a hurdle when you're trying to convert sales. It's addressing the elephant in the room, that the buyer at the other end might actually want to work together, but they don't know how. So as soon as you ask the question of actually, how can we do business together? How can we win your business? It's another great one. Will often go really well because it's inoffensive. If you sell PR services or recruitment or whichever, it's a nice approach that actually helps people think, okay, so we work with company X, but actually, I like you guys, I like what you're about. A way to win the work could be, well, you know what, we've got a piece of work coming up, quote on it, we'll see what happens. But it's a very inoffensive approach. How can we work together? How can we win some business? That kind of thing. And it's a very nice sales approach that I probably, in terms of my LinkedIn approaches, when I talk to people about the roadmap, I kind of keep it at 2 paragraphs, nice and short. I always want to come across as a real person, be friendly, say hello, but also keep it super short because people are very time poor. So within the course, again, we look about our buyer personas and really trying to understand who it is we're targeting. And the truth is, in 2021, with social media and stuff and Zoom and whatever, people are very busy. So the shorter and the easier and the simpler it is, the better. And then the other sideline to that as well is that the simpler and the nicer and the easier you make your message, the people on the other end will actually perceive you as being easier to do business with, and they'll like you more, etc., because you're not going to waste too much of their time and it's not going to be like a faff. That actually you'll probably be a lot more successful. And the other thing that I would say as well is that try voice notes if you've never done it before. So in the course, we talk about how different forms of communication, in theory, in-person or video is the best because you can see body language and gestures and stuff, and you get a really good feel for the person. But when you can't do that, and that's 50+% of how people communicate, 37% is actually in tone of voice. So the reason why voice notes and voice messages are really useful, and again on LinkedIn direct message, you just press and hold the little microphone, just talk, and then end it. For one, you can't undo it, so it has to be natural, but actually the person on the other end, you will come across as a real person. Is why I often get approaches where I'm not even sure it's a real person, I just think it's a robot or a bot or whichever. That actually, voice notes are a really kind of good way to do it. Good morning, Jonathan. Glad to have you. Nice to have more people join the call, which is cool. And the next one, which I'm going to flip the pad just because I know you can't quite see it on screen. So we've got really diagnose what worked, as in, you might have tried one type of sales approach and it just bombed, and you tried a different one and it worked quite well. Go with the second one. And again, that's why it's useful to actually kind of test different options. So when I send out my packs, I have different letters, different styles and stuff. And basically I try different ones and see what the response is. And then the idea is that you just gradually learn and iterate over time, but always try and diagnose what works, what doesn't, what approaches do people actually respond to, etc. And on that one, I think give voice notes a go. It's a really nice way to do it. It's very inoffensive. You come across a real person, and actually I quite like receiving them. It's something different. It shows that people are kind of working hard. This is the order that you want to kind of do it in. So again, go for existing customers. One of the things that's always really important when you're trying to get a handle on your business as a whole, at the start we mentioned about how if you can put all of your contacts into your business contacts, people that have traded with you, into a spreadsheet. And one of the best things you can do is then if you have the company name and you've got the revenue that they've spent with you per year, you can obviously add it all up and actually create a pie chart which maps out the revenue spend with your business over time. And basically what you'll probably find in a dream scenario, you have a few big customers and then lots of small ones, so that you've almost got a really good spread of risk. What this again does, it allows you to focus your time and effort, so that actually if you're trying to drive, I don't know, X amount of revenue, just focus on these ones. And that's where you put your time and put more effort into the top, kind of 80% of your revenue generation. And don't waste your time on the smaller guys, at least at first. And again, what we're really trying to do is just prioritize your time, etc., to get the biggest bang for your buck. And then last but not least, it's how do we actually do this? So for me, again, this is a personal preference. People have different ways to do it. I never like to cold call people without them knowing, or at least getting a heads up that I'm going to call. So basically the first one is a soft approach. So this is email or LinkedIn, actually Twitter, to be fair. So it's any form of kind of digital approach. This is often where people kind of stay, because it's easy, it's safe, you're not really putting yourself on the line, and you can automate it. Even if that's a copy and paste kind of thing. But this will never, okay, it might win you some business, but it'll be a very low return rate. But the point is, what you can do in this is make the soft introduction, say hello, make a very, thing about asking if you can have a call with them. But then yes, definitely next, you want to follow up with a phone call. Because actually what you're then doing, we cover it in the course under the sales modules, but it's qualifying the buyer. There's 17 different questions that you should ask. And actually what was interesting with the interview with Victoria on Monday, she said that actually when she does sales training with different people, there was a company that had bought into there's a book called Spin Selling by a guy called Neil Rackman. And it's a good book. It's about 300 odd pages. It doesn't need to be 300 pages. It could be 4 if you really wanted to. But this company had bought into that system so much that they were overqualifying. So they were asking these huge number of steps to understand the buyer needs, and just keep asking question after question after question, to the point where it was kind of pissing off the buyer. And it was overkill. But the point is this again, is when you know your audience, it's important to get information from them which will help you do your job better, but still respect that they're normal people. And again, when people ring you, do you really want to stay on the phone for half an hour? Probably not. But you have to do the phone call to both learn more about them. And the trick is with high value technical selling, which is kind of what we're talking about. It's a way to just learn intelligence, because the more you learn about the customer, that's what you can then play back to them in the solutions that you offer. Bad salespeople just push. Good salespeople will actually listen, learn, react, and then offer a solution as well. And then likewise, repeat. So basically, you probably all know the stat that your average sale takes between 5 to 12 contacts with the buyer to actually, get the purchase. Why, again, this is really important, is that doesn't have to be 5 phone calls It can be 2 phone calls, but then interaction on Twitter or live streams or podcasts or whichever. And again, one of the things that I always like to talk about is how when you're doing your company promotion or your personal brand and promotion, for me, yes, you need to build trust and credibility and be seen as an authority and expert on a topic and stuff. But it's those constant touch points for me all add up. So that could be tweets, it could be blog posts, it could be whichever. So your social media does count towards these touch points. But then when you're actually coming to try and convert a sale, it's almost knowing to go in for the kill. I say the kill, but actually it's the sales request, it's the sales ask. The people might have seen your business around, they like what you do, they think it's cool, but for whatever reason, they've never actually twigged about, actually, you know what, I could buy that. And that's the sales process, which is really, really important. So in terms of driving sales in the first kind of 90 days, hopefully that was quite interesting. I've just noticed it's 9:24, so I've been talking for a while. But it's that kind of thing of when you're just looking at your time and your effort and how do you make the biggest bang for your buck. Good morning, Eric. How do you do taxes? So do you mean how do I personally do my taxes, or sales tax? If you can elaborate, that'd be cool. Me personally, so I use a software called QuickBooks. So I'm fortunate in some ways that I have a few high value customers that are invoiced every month. So it's not, I don't have thousands of transactions. And then likewise at the moment, you know, the numbers are still relatively small on the roadmap, you know, at least per day compared to an Amazon or whoever. The software, which is, so I use QuickBooks, works really well. That is automated with my business account. And my website has, I think it's called Stripe. So when an order comes in, it's all kind of automated. Then I'm registered for VAT, which in the UK is value added tax, which is 20%. So I do my VAT return every quarter. And luckily, QuickBooks it's an advert for QuickBooks now, kind of does it all for me. But it's a great way to then sense check and do it. And then as a sole trader that kind of does this all myself, I don't have a finance team. To be honest, it kind of works. At some point when I'm rich and famous and, you know, hopefully have 50,000 users on the course, then I might need a team that can almost do that full time. But that's how I kind of do it. I don't do taxes, but I launder money. Is that legal? Well, Eric, good luck to you. I think to be honest, do what you need to do. If you can get away with it, go for it. I think that's cool. But no, you know, it is what it is, but I appreciate the comment. So if you're free on Monday, please join us for the Eric, sorry, I'm on my brainer. Please join me for the Chris Johnson, please join me for the Chris Johnson interview. It'll be a really good one that actually I really kind of hope your time, and I think it'll be quite inspirational in some ways. But a really great guy. Check out the Victoria interview from Monday. I think really lovely person again, and we talked a lot about live streaming and stuff because actually I know it's a topic that a lot of people are really interested in. We did talk for a while, I won't lie, but actually it's still hopefully one that is worth your interest. So my name's Steve, I'm going to kind of call it quits there. We have our next classroom session at 12 p.m. today, which you're more than welcome to join. If you've got any questions again about the Roadmap MBA or any of our stuff, please kind of get in touch. I'll plug again that we've got something called a guest list, which is guestlist@roadmapmba.com. And the whole point with that is the ability for people to access free courses that wouldn't otherwise have access to quality kind of business education. And again, we are CPD certified, so hopefully it's a very good, credible course which you can invest your time, effort and money in, but actually you'll get a much better return. And likewise get to be involved with sessions like these, but then also the kind of classroom sessions where it's face-to-face, people ask questions, and we really kind of tailor stuff back to your business. So my name's Steve, have a wonderful day again. Hopefully speak to you soon, and fingers crossed for an England win on Sunday. Okay, have a wonderful weekend and I'll speak to you soon. All right, cheers guys, bye-bye.